Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
It was Lynton Crosby in 2015 who urged the then PM to scrape the barnacles off the boat. Forget, in other words, those peripheral or social issues and concentrate on the big stuff, the economy, and make the character assassinations personal and profound. This time round, it appears Team May has taken that message to heart once more. The repeated slogans back, and the attack on Jeremy Corbyn by Boris has that whiff of the PR guru's direction once again. So are we back on Groundhog Day, where spontaneity has been shown the door? Here's David Grossman.
Wish me luck as you wave me goodbye.
At the last election, some people noticed, shall we call it, an eerie similarity between Lynton Crosby's attack ads on Ed Miliband and those he ran against an Australian politician in 2004. In any other line of work, this might be considered charging twice for your back catalogue. Or should we make that 3 times, because it's déjà vu all over again. Let's see if you can spot the message.
It will be a choice between strong and stable leadership in the national interest, with me as your Prime Minister.
The next Prime Minister walking through that door will be me or Ed Miliband. You can choose an economy that grows,
or weak and unstable coalition government, led by Jeremy Corbyn.
Or you can choose the economic chaos of Ed Miliband.
A vote for a weak and failing Jeremy Corbyn, propped up by a coalition of chaos.
Into this mix, it's not uncommon for the odd personal insult to creep.
He'll do anything to get into power. We saw that when he fought his own brother.
Sometimes very odd.
He's just an Islingtonian herbivore, a muddle-headed, mutton-headed mugwump or whatever.
All designed to get us talking about whether or not Jeremy Corbyn is a mugwump. If you are the Prime Minister, though, you never engage in the mudslinging or deviate off the core message.
Do you know what a mugwump is?
What I recognise is that what we need in this country is strong and stable leadership.
What Sir Lynton Crosby gets paid the big bucks to know is that there are really only 2 election campaigns you can run. If you're in opposition, you run Time for a Change. In government, you run Don't Risk a Change. That'll be £500,000 and a share of the ad spend, please.
Well, Aisha Hazarika was special advisor to Ed Miliband during that 2015 election campaign. She's now a spin doctor and stand-up comedian. And Rebecca Lowe-Coulson was a parliamentary candidate for the Conservative Party in 2015 and now contributes to Conservative Home. So you both remember what it was like on the stump and what it was like to have Lynton Crosby in charge then. Just talk us through, Rebecca, do you sense that the same strategy is being wheeled out now? Do you feel it?
I think certainly the strong and stable leadership message and also the coalition of chaos message. This is very much long-term economic plan, an economic plan that is long-term.
And we're going to get that 30 times a day.
I think we're probably going to get it. I mean, people are already counting. This is standard political procedure these days, I think. I mean,
what did you have as a candidate? Did you have a, you know, your... It would have been the BlackBerry in the old days, but, you know, did you have your list of things that you had to get in on the doorstep?
I mean, there was definitely an attempt to get candidates to distill message, for sure, and I think this is something which comes with Lynton Crosby, but I think, I mean, I was running in a non-target seat, so I had a little bit more of more freedom over this. I think also, though, Theresa May is somebody to whom messaging is more important in general. I mean, under David Cameron, I think the broad messaging was we need to fix the economy, we need to fix the economy. Under Theresa May, we've seen from her first moments outside Downing Street, sort of one nation conservatism, and then the party conference, we've seen a country that works for everyone, we've seen just about managing people. This is somebody who's not leaving herself open to criticisms in the grounds of what are your justifications for doing this. I mean, under David Cameron, you had we're going to readdress welfare spending. Now, there are loads of great reasons to do that, but to fix the economy, maybe not so much. So I think messaging and centralisation are already key to Theresa May. I mean, this is a very, very centralised government.
I should tell us what it was like to be on the receiving end of that, because it was not just the repeated slogans that you had and this idea of it, you know, being chaos under Ed Miliband, but it was very personal attacks, wasn't it? It was Michael Fallon, for example, wheeled out and...
it was very tough because there was this absolute kind of relentless sort of shelling of the sort of Labour camp with these core messages. Remember, we were also getting squeezed from the SNP side because they were saying, yeah, you know, we will be doing some sort of deal. So it was, what's different about this election to the last election was, under Ed, there was a sort of, it was more plausible to make that argument about the coalition because of the way the numbers were looking. But it was tough, and certainly the personalised attacks, particularly from Michael Fallon, and it's interesting that he's been kind of wheeled out again, and we've seen Boris making highly personalised attacks against Jeremy Corbyn. Now, that's definitely the Linton Crosby playbook, and it certainly was very, very effective at the last general election.
How did you counter it? I mean, did you go into a huddle and say, what is our fight-back strategy? Or did you pretend it wasn't there, or what?
Well, I mean, look, you're always prepared for the slings and arrows in the heat of an election campaign. I mean, our slogan was sort of, you know, a better plan for a better future, and we had a whole set of policies that, you know, we felt very kind of confident in. But you know that, you know, you're not going to go into an election campaign where you're not going to get attacked. I mean, we were attacking Cameron in terms of, you know, don't let him take us back to the 1980s, and, you know, we had a bit of Britain can do better and all that type of thing. But I think the sort of the message discipline was quite, you know, it was quite ferocious from the Conservatives. The only thing I'd just say about this time that is slightly, like, different, we've had a lot of elections since 2015. We had the 2015 election, we then had the EU referendum. Yeah. And I think people are just going to be a bit more savvy and want to know a little bit more than just this mantra, this Dalek mantra. They want to know what the Conservatives are going to offer.
They do work, don't they? I mean, we think we can see the strings or feel the strings, but they work, presumably, do they?
I think this is true. I mean, I think there are two things. One, first of all, I completely agree that to run a fair campaign, you have to be up against somebody that people are frightened of. So I'd imagine this personal attacks on Jeremy Corbyn in terms of more specific, I don't know whether it's Trident or I don't know whether it's IRA comments. I'd imagine we may see this later on if the polls are starting to narrow. At the moment, it's very much, you know, the strong and stable leadership, and it's also Brexit. So election campaigns usually, one would think, we run along the lines of leadership and the economy. Brexit has taken the place of the economy.
Do you think there's a danger in them going too personal?
Yeah, I absolutely do think there's a massive
danger for Jeremy Corbyn, or danger for the Tories?
I think a danger for the Conservatives, actually. Look, nobody wants this to be a coronation for Theresa May, and I think people will think, you know, hang on a minute. It's one thing you can be nasty about somebody, but actually, what are your policies? Like, what the Conservatives are doing, they're steering away from actually saying what they're wanting to do. We had Michael Fallon this week saying, we're not going to give too much detail in our manifesto. So I think they just need to be quite wary about that as well as the strategy.
So what does Jeremy Corbyn have to do? I mean, is he somebody who thinks of how to cope with strategy, or does he just...
I don't think he and his team are sitting there doing lots of tactical and strategic planning. I just don't think that's what his thing is. I think they will basically be doing much more of a bread and butter Labour Party issues, the NHS, Brexit, housing, education. I think they're the issues that actually the Labour Party should be focusing on. And also, I think, I hate this phrase, but I think they have to let Jeremy be Jeremy. You know, he's a very unique...
That's another slogan,
yeah, that is another slogan. I don't think you can spin
I think you have to think about what these two leaders' objectives are. And Jeremy Corbyn, to some extent, you could see as being a reasonably successful leader on his own terms. He wants to change the narrative. He wants people to be talking about his issues. Does he actually want to be Prime Minister? I don't think he probably does. So on his own terms, he's already pushed the...
That's quite a claim. He said he wants to be Prime Minister.
Well, he said that, but he's not really acting in a way in which
But I think the Conservatives just, you know, it's all very good. The polls looking... They've got to be careful about not looking too arrogant. And remember, there are lots of domestic issues that people are worried about.
I think they'll be very much fighting the kind of campaign which is people already know that the Conservatives are holding the fort. This is the kind of election campaign we saw last time. This is don't risk things are going well. And Theresa May was part of that last government. Successes they had with schools, with the economy. People already know this. We know that they think that Theresa May is
she's also tied into
and on Brexit as well. Labour doesn't have a coherent policy on Brexit. Until they do, I think it's going to be very, very hard for them to move up in the polls.
We're out of time. Come back. We will talk more slogans, and maybe they'll have gone by then.